that he's an international, not only that, he's an international relation expert, leader, and change maker. I got to know Sheldon several years ago during our trip back and forth to China and the work that he's done with the Model UN. But he will elaborate on that, and also as a wonderful Rotarian with the DC Rotary Club and a board member. But he's also just been instrumental for the students in the area, across the country and local. So Dr. Shelton is the president and founder of the Osgood Center for International Studies. Prior to the Osgood Center, he spent over 35 years as a professor at Austin College in Sherman, Texas, where he supervised its award-winning Model UN, where he supervised as award-winning Model UN national team and earned several major teaching awards, first classes, international relations, American foreign policy, and comparative politics. He served as the director of the Austin College Leadership Program from 1997 to 2005. Dr. Williams is an expert on nuclear nonproliferation policy and has worked in the State Department under Secretary Madeleine Albright and in the Office of International Programs in the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. He holds a doctorate, PhD in International Relations from Paul H. Nair's School of Advanced International Studies at Johns Hopkins University. Currently, he's a member at the Rotary Club, Washington, D.C., where he has directed the Walter Reed Bingo Program since 2015. Also, he serves on the Embassy Relations Committee. Previously, he chaired of International Service Committee at Grayson County Rotary Club. In his spare time, he writes detective mystery, and he does write wonderful stories. So without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Shelton Williams. Thank you.
Thank you so much. President Erica, Ellie, Clara Montanez, I know she's not here, and all the new friends I met this morning. Thank you. I'm happy to be here, but I have no money.
Can you hear?
Yeah, they can hear me.
Good. Yes.
Yeah. So in any event, that was a very nice introduction. It was a little bit elaborate for me, but they asked me to write stuff down, so I did. I have indeed been doing what I do for over 50 years. I first came to Washington, D.C. August 15th, 1966, to attend Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. But there I got an education that propelled me into international affairs, but I didn't at that time want to be a practitioner. I wanted to be a college professor. I'd always dreamed of being a college professor. Over time, I learned that professing was a good thing to do, but helping students get experiences in international affairs, learn how to become diplomats, learn how to be change makers in their own communities, and learn how to interact with people who are not in their own fields, like Rotarians, that this is what we should be doing. And so I really transitioned over the course of my time into directing experiential learning opportunities in Washington, D.C. and around the world. Ellie went on a Model UN trip with me to China in 2011, and I launched Model UNs in Russia, China, Japan, all across the United States. Model UN is an experience that teaches you how to do research, how to write short papers, how to negotiate, and how to be an effective person professionally. And I thought that was just a terrific thing. That led me to, in my own college, teach policy research and eventually direct the leadership program at Austin College. So I felt like I couldn't teach these things unless I did it myself. So therefore, I took leaves of absence on several different occasions to work with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission right on Old Georgetown Road here at used to be in the Maryland National Bank building. And then 20 years after that, I went to the State Department and worked with Madeleine Albright, where I was a delegate to the 1995 NPT Review Conference. So I am knowledgeable about nukes and things like that, but I'm more interested in affecting the lives of young people. That's what I want to do. And so I retired from Austin College, and I left Austin College in 2005, came to Washington, D.C. to primarily be with my grandchildren and my wife, who had moved there before I had, in order to start a program that would help students do the kinds of things that I want to do, and to find what I call diamonds in the rough. I consider myself maybe not a diamond, but not entirely a lump of coal. I came from West Texas. I came from an area that was not international. It was deeply conservative. It is conservative in every way. It's most famous for football. How many of you have seen Friday Night Lights or know about it? Okay, that's my hometown. That's my school. That's my football team. And I grew up there. I played football. It was a thing to do, and it really deeply affected my life. So much so that when I got ready to go to college, the school counselor said, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "I want to go to the University of Texas." She said, "You can't." I said, "Why not?" I had good grades. I did all right on the SAT. And she said, "Well, you know, but the fact is, the only reason you got good grades was because you're a football player." That's what it says in Friday Night Lights. That the football players were pampered. But the fact is that I had a number of teachers who recognized something in me and suggested that I could go to college. And I did, although I was scared to death the whole time. But I made Phi Beta Kappa, and I got a full scholarship to graduate school. And I said, you know, I wouldn't have done this if it had not been for a teacher. My father was beyond traditional. He thought that the only way I could survive this world is if I went into business, particularly his business. He owned a car wash. And I said, I don't ever want to wash another car in my life. And he said, "But if you can't make a living as a professor." And I said, "Well, I'm going to give it a shot." And therefore, he kicked me out of the house and refused to pay for my college. Well, it's a typical story. You've all lived through it. In any event, that's all these things had a big impact on me. And I'm the president and founder of the Osgood Center for International Studies, though Brother Williams, Osgood's not my name. Osgood is the name of the professor at Johns Hopkins who most influenced me. The person who was my inspiration, and who told me at one time when I decided to go teach at a small college in Texas that no one had ever heard of, at least I hadn't, but I thought it was a job and I could actually get a paycheck. And he said, "Well, do you want to teach?" And I said, "Yes, I do." He says, "Does Austin College look like a good place to go?" And I said, "I think so." He said, "Well, the secret to life is do what you love and get someone to pay you for it." I said, "Done." And I wanted to be an influence in students' lives and find those diamonds in the rough who would aspire to be a diplomat, who would aspire to go into the IMF, who would aspire to be a policy maker. Now, I've had a number, I'm not going to drop names, well, I will if you press me. But in any event, I've had a number of students who've been high up in the CIA, who've been on the cabinet, who've been the leader of the Met, who are in Congress, etc. So I've had an opportunity to see these people come through and prove themselves. And I want to do that with other students. I want to help them that. So when I came to Washington in 2005 and set up the Osgood Center, I set up an organization that would provide internships in Washington, D.C., modeling went for people around the world, professional development, and mentoring. And one of the things I did at the Austin College is set up a leadership program that had something I called leading lights and rising stars for young people. You guys would be leading lights. The lives that you led, the wisdom that you have to share with students, the kinds of insights you can give them to careers, the relative importance of grades versus action, etc. All those things that you know to share with students who are insecure, been told by their counselor they can't make it, been told by their parents that what they do is not valid, and have been told sometimes that they have to get all A's or else they're worthless. These are the people I ran into as a college professor. These are people who are deeply insecure. I know I was there. I did it. Some people are just graced with everything they need and they just walk through life. But most of us struggle. We struggle. And you need a voice, you need help, you need a support system. And so what I'm trying to do at the Osgood Center now is connect you with students. And so of the programs that we do at the Osgood Center, I think most proud of the leadership program that we do every January. And the theme of this year's program is called Lead with Purpose. It's not find what you love and get someone to pay you for it. It's translate your passion into what you do in life and understand that you can do it in many different venues. There's not just one path. And you can be yourself and also be effective. And so we're going to have this program. It's going to be hybrid, just like this meeting, and you won't know whether to speak to the people on the screen or the people in front of you. I choose it in front of you. But it's going to be hybrid. I'm going to have a number of my former students, all the way back to Austin College. They now run the HR program at Google. They now run a hospital in San Antonio. There are people that I've been blessed to work with and get to know who've done things like win on Survivor and $362,000 on Survivor, and then start a nonprofit in Washington, D.C. to combat domestic violence. People who are trying to, quote, save democracy because it's under stress right now. People who are interested in dealing with stress. A woman who studied PTSD coming out of the wounded warriors who went to Afghanistan and Iraq and is now working in HR. So there are people like that. I would like to invite you, if you want my card, I'll give it to you. You can text me or email me. And either be in the audience online or actually come and interact with students. We would love to have you. And my idea of getting older people and younger people together in order to mentor is something I strongly believe in. I strongly believe in. To have a mentor, to have someone say, yes, I understand what you're trying to do. I understand that. Now, let me give you a piece of advice. It's not a bad thing. And so what we're doing right now is recruiting people from the Washington, D.C. Rotary Club, many of whom are going to be speaking because they also have stories to tell. And I've spoken at your club twice. I've spoken at the DC club once. We don't get to hear each other. We don't get to hear each other's stories that much. I like to hear your stories. I am a storyteller. I'll end on this and we'll open it up for questions. Maybe I've said something that you might want to ask about. The last time I talked here, I talked about the book that I wrote called Washing the Blood, which is kind of a murder mystery, but it's a true story. And it was made into a television show. It is now being made into a movie. So that's one of my interests as well. Yeah. I've learned a lot over the last few years about the whole process. It's eternity. The first call I got about making it into a movie was June 1st, 2006. But it's still going. But in any event, I find learning through experience is great. You've got to have the classroom. Classroom absolutely essential. But learning through experience teaches you why you should know something. Why is it relevant? How is history relevant? How is history relevant? I have that question all the time. Because we keep doing dumb things, folks, and you've got to learn from this. But in any event, I'll stop on that. I just want to interact with you. And what do you think of what I'm trying to do? And you want to help?
Thank you.
No
I
question.
do. Yeah, Susie's, it's all got.
Thank you. It's wonderful to hear what you're doing. I just had one suggestion. Since it's possible to help even virtually, it seems like one of the organizations that I work with is ARP, and they've got about 40 million membership. A lot of people who are actually here and help, but physically unable to go and do the physical help. But if there is mentorship involved, that would be one possible opportunity.
Well,
to open up.
it's an excellent suggestion, and we do it.
Oh, okay,
And
great.
we absolutely do. We have a professional development program where students from State University of the South in Sewanee, Tennessee, work with a mentor that we assign based on what their career interests are. And they only meet online. And all of our programs are hybrid. I want people both online and in person. I like hybrid. So it's a good suggestion. Mr. Williams.
Your book is available on Amazon?
I'm not trying to promote my book, but yes.
Okay, and remind me of the name?
Well, I've got 7 of them,
Okay.
but the one that's being made into a movie, cross your fingers, it goes on forever. It's called Washed in the Blood. I wrote it in 2004, and to this day, it's still the biggest selling book that I've ever written. Yeah, so it was kind of famous in Texas, and it's really been fascinating to see the technical side, because I've seen more movies than anyone you've ever known. I actually have.
We have a movie club.
I have 682 reviews on my website. So I really am a movie nut.
Yeah.
But getting on the inside of it's been quite fascinating.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thank you, David.
Shelley,
Oh, yeah.
Ellie,
hello? Can you hear me? Hello, Shelley. Thank you for coming to the club. Excellent presentation. And I'd like to add that I participated in your program a few years ago. And it was fantastic. I had the young people over at my office, and we had a conversation with them, and we had showed them what investment banking is about. And from that experience, from those trips to my office, I became a mentor to a couple of your students. And that's a relationship that's still going, and it was a fantastic experience. So I would encourage any of you who has 2 hours to give, to open up your office or open up your experiences, share them with these young people, and they're craving to hear from us.
so Clara, thank you so much. I remember that visit very well. You also spoke in person to our leadership program, and we've been friends for years. She was once in the DC club, and I actually live in Bethesda, so I can come here as often as you want to do this. But in any event, Ellie has served as a mentor. We've got many mentors. I'm serious about this. I think it's a great thing to do, and it's a good volunteer opportunity for you. So thank you for your service, Laura.
I think it's a fascinating program. So I have a question. Based on your experience, what do you think makes for a good mentor-mentee relationship? Cause I've done that myself and sometimes it seemed really good, sometimes not. So what do you think are the keys to the success of that relationship?
Well, listening. The thing that I have taught in most of my programs over time, and the things that I've learned is that to be a good listener is a great skill. And listening combined with understanding is very helpful. Non-judgmental listening. And so emotional intelligence is the most important thing that you can do. You won't lay out the career. They won't. I've got grandchildren. I know this. You can tell them what to do. Item 1, item 2. They're going to do what they're going to do, but they're going in the back of their minds. They're going to have the subliminal messages, and they'll take great leadership from you. Oh, I'm called Pops. Pops did this. Pops did that, and he learned this and he learned that. So that is the most important thing. It's like being a parent. Without the anxiety.
Okay, I have a question. So you're targeting mentors and you've got a great group of mentors here. But how do you target students? What is your age range? What is your strategy? Because we're a club that wants to reach out to younger folks. We share an interest in supporting Interact and Rotaract.
We do.
And particularly, do you have any particular strategies for diversifying and for targeting underserved communities?
LA, you hear that question? We have
Yes,
strategic-
I hear it.
We have strategic partnerships with a number of HBCUs, and that's one place. But we have what we call strategic partnerships. I run a business. I mean, a nonprofit business is still a business. It's got to be funded. You've got to have clients. The clients that I want are somebody here was also a foreign service officer. Remember the old saying that to be a foreign service officer, you had to be male, Yale, and pale?
Yes, correct. Right. It used to be true.
It used to be true.
Yeah.
So I definitely learned that in 1966. I was not Yale. But in any event, we have partnerships with schools like the University of the South, College of Charleston, Houston Honors Program, Lincoln University. We have partnerships with German universities that are primarily college students. The college students, and I work with a lot of Chinese students. I have a Chinese assistant director, and we've met people who are who want to experience the world and want to be somewhere else, literally be somewhere else. And the people I typically work with are people from these schools that don't have a Washington program already. If you are from Yale or Harvard, or you're in the California system or the Texas system, they have permanent offices in Washington, D.C. If you're Austin College with 1,200 students in Sherman, Texas, you don't have that Washington office. And I want to be that Washington office. I also want to offer the program so they're affordable to students. So we have to raise money from, I raised $41,000 in the last 2 months. Primarily from former students by telling them I will change your transcript if you don't get it. No, I didn't. I did not say that. I did not say that. But I have strong support from students, former students, who want to help and achieve what they. I came from Cleveland, Texas. I had no idea I could do such and such. You can, you will. We'll give you the opportunity. So I reach out to these kinds of schools and I say, I can be your Washington program. You pay me a set fee, charge the students nothing, and I'll take care of them in Washington. And that gives them entree to this world. And just having the opportunity to meet somebody like you, or to be in Washington DC, gives them a new image of things. Oh, really? You came from Indiana and you've done something special. I could do that too. And if you could see yourself, this is what educators say, if you could see yourself on television or in a book, you could say, oh, that's possible for me. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So college students primarily, especially women and minorities, which 70% of our students are women. Our leadership program at Austin College was dominated by women. Almost every speaker in our program last year was a woman. All but 3 are women this year. I don't talk about women as leaders. I talk about women leaders. Because they're doing it. And they have a lot to teach us. So, hope that answers your question.
We sure did.
Okay.
Thank you. Did you have a quick question? Your hand was raised, Nicholas, no? Okay. Well, I just want to thank you very much for coming and sharing this with you, and I do hope that we'll have some people show up as mentors.
Can I also just say, as somebody, the part of the technical team that didn't do so well today,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you didn't need a PowerPoint. I'm almost glad we didn't show your PowerPoint, because that was unbelievable, huh? We can share it. We'll share your PowerPoint.
I don't believe in reading from PowerPoints. So if I'm reading from PowerPoints, you're reading it, and you're not paying attention to me. And as a professor, I know if they don't pay attention to you, they plunge the exam.
No. Thank you. With that, Carl. First meeting of 2020 will be done in Osgood.
I have cards.